Welcome to Zach and Steve Have a Podcast. This is our 50th episode.
50 episodes. Holy cow, man.
We have a special podcast today. Are we going to talk?
Let's just say right off the bat, we already recorded the second segment before this segment, and we are so excited to share it with you. You talk about it because it's more significant to you than it is. I mean, not that it's not special to me, but it should be more special to you.
We talk a lot about the people in our life who have made an impact on us.
Yes.
And no one more than my grandfather, 96 years old. Love him to death. For 96 years old, I don't think there's a better human on earth as far as health wise. Like, his brain is sharp.
Yeah.
Like, funny as all get out.
Yep.
And we thought, you know what? Let's bring in for our 50th episode. Let's bring in Grandpa.
Yep.
We haven't had a guest yet, so our first guest.
Our very first, maybe only guest ever.
Yeah. Like, you got a lot to live up to after that.
Yeah. We got to sit down and talk with Grandpa Ken, and it was fantastic. Just hearing his life story, being a believer, all those things. It was a lot of fun. It was a very fun 40 minutes that we got to spend with him.
So we got that coming up here in a little bit. So you got that to look forward to. If you want to fast forward past us schmucks and get to that, that's the good stuff.
Get out of here and listening to somebody that has lived a very full and happy life.
Yeah. But we have to talk a little bit about what's going on this week, because this is what we do with our podcast.
Okay. I'm a little concerned.
We have conversations about the things we're doing. I've got a couple of stories.
Okay.
Usually Steve comes in with the stories.
You know what? To be honest, I have not had a story recently.
If you've been listening to our podcast for the last 50 podcasts, Steve's got the funny stories. And typically, I don't know. You live a charmed life or something.
I don't think
maybe it's the opposite of charmed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a lot of my stories have to do with the fact that I don't have it together at all, and I make a lot of mistakes.
So, this weekend, Steve and the other pastors had a retreat.
Oh, boy.
That they went to.
Okay. Oh, no.
And so what happens at the pastors' retreat is...
Yep.
You know where I'm going with this?
I know exactly where you're going with this, because it was...
It was hilarious. One of the funnier things I've ever experienced was what happened at this retreat.
I would say it's one of the rougher moments of my life.
This is perfect for a podcast.
Go ahead. No, please.
As soon as it happened, I was like, Steve, we're talking about this on the podcast.
Honestly,
you blocked it out of your memory?
I think the Holy Spirit gave me the ability to block out something so painful. But go ahead.
So at the pastor's retreat, you guys spend the weekend at like a remote place, and you kind of bond, right? You bond, you talk about the life of the church, and it's just a time where you get to do that. But then at the end, it's a dinner for the pastors, their wives,
well,
and
kind
the
of at the end. It was really actually in the middle.
Okay. There was more afterwards.
Yeah, it was more afterwards.
But it's kind of like a debriefing time. Hey, this is what we talked about.
Exactly.
We're talking about the future of our church. Just a nice little event that
it was
that
like
we
the
do
main thing. What is the thing that we're focusing on this year that we're putting just an emphasis on?
Yeah.
And this year it's service.
Yes.
Or volunteerism. So, yeah, I mean, that was a big part of the thing. But just say it. I'm so whatever, dude. Whatever.
So, one part of the service was we were honoring our senior pastor, and so what they had us do, and we didn't tell the senior pastor this was happening, but everyone that came, we got an email, a text that said, "Hey, we want you to shoot a 30-minute video clip."
30 seconds.
Yes. Sorry, I said minute.
They want you to make 10 30-minute videos expressing your gratitude.
Yeah, 10 to 30 second video.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just send it. We're going to compile it all together. Yes. It's just a nice, hey, thank you for all the hard work you did.
Yes.
Okay. So we came in the week before, and we're having a conversation. It was one of the weeks we were doing the podcast.
Yes.
And Steve was like, I got to make this video. And you were kind of nervous about it. And a little bit, a little bit anxious. You wanted to make sure you did it right. Hey, how did you do it? What are the things you talked about? Because this means a lot. This person means a lot in our lives and our careers and these things. So Laura and I just finished it that morning. I said, just say real quick what we did. And you're like, okay. So you go home, you do it. When I see you on Sunday, I said, hey, how'd it go making the video? And you're like, oh, man, we put lots of time into this, like a couple takes.
Wait.
No. And you said, we were sick. And the problem was when we watched it again, we did look like we were ill, or like when we looked at it, we looked like we were ill.
Very.
And so you had a little bit of anxiety about this going into it, and already just every person, when you see yourself on a screen and you make something, and all of your peers and friends around there watching it, you don't want to look like a fool, or like make people.
And there's 50 people at this thing. All right, so it's every staff member, or almost every staff member and their spouse.
Yeah.
Every deacon and their spouse.
Yes. It's like all our friends and colleagues.
Everybody that we've known for a long time is there watching this.
Yes.
Go on.
And so the first person comes up, the little video, and then the next couple, and all through. Stoic. Everybody's just watching. And
everybody's just watching it, enjoying it,
teary-eyed.
Sure.
So Steve and Sarah come up, and as soon as they come on the screen, everybody in the room starts laughing.
Erupts into laughter. We have not said anything. We have only merely looked at the camera, and immediately the whole room erupts into laughter.
It's the look on your face. You look around, you're like, what? What are you laughing at?
Yeah,
like, it's quiet. No one had said anything the entire time. This video's playing, and then everybody starts laughing, and Steve
I'm like, what's so funny? I was so mad. Because, I mean, listen, what is literally the worst nightmare? Like, you get up in front of people, and they start laughing at you.
Yeah, I know.
And that is literally what happened to Sarah and I.
There was nothing there was nothing bad about it. The only thing...
It was... Okay, so my posture...
You were wearing a beanie.
Okay, listen. Sarah and I were both sick.
Yeah.
We were both already had that sickly color look. Yeah. Anyway, just that little washed out. And then on top of that, every video looked really washed out.
Yeah, so everyone's face looked like white.
Yeah, so it was even more pale. I'm kind of slouched down with this beanie on, and I'm just like, I look like Jabba the Hutt, so I'm already a little self-conscious, and then everybody starts laughing. And then the best part is, so everybody laughs, and nobody laughs at anything else.
No.
Nothing. All these heartfelt, sincere videos. It was beautiful. I mean, ours was heartfelt and sincere. We were just, running temperatures, okay? But we wanted to do it. So we get done. And we're about to have prayer over Pastor Warren and Tracy. Because I don't know if we said this already, but it was their 25th year in ministry, 15th year at New Life, 5 years as a senior pastor. So all those things lining up. So we are, celebrating that and also just praying for them as we move forward. Pastor Trent is laughing so hard. And you got to understand, Pastor Trent and I have the kind of dynamic and relationship where we mess with each other a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I've known Trent even before he was a pastor. I had his kids in the youth ministry. I've always had a good relationship with he and his wonderful wife, Stephanie, just and their kids, just great people. So we have that kind of dynamic. But I knew there was a little bit of imbalance because I've been a lot harder on Trent in more recent times, and Trent's just let it go. Trent, I think this was like everything Trent had ever wanted to have happen to me. He's like, I didn't start the laughter, but he's like, I couldn't stop. He comes over to me. He is belly laughing so hard that he is shaking. And he comes and he stands by me while we're praying. And as I forget who led the prayer. It probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Maybe Pastor Greg. Yeah. He led the prayer, and Trent is holding onto my shoulder, and I got my arm under his arm and up on his other shoulder, and he is shaking, laughing the whole time we're praying.
And Steve, you must be thinking, why is everybody laughing at me?
Why? Who wouldn't? No, I have a pretty good sense of humor and pretty thick skin when it comes to things. Because, listen, in my life, I dish out a lot.
Yeah.
I dish out a lot, so you got to be able to take it. You can't just dish and not be able to receive. So I was like, I got a good laugh out of it. I haven't lost sleep over it or anything, but it was like in the moment, it's like, what? Why is this happening?
Why is everybody laughing?
Why is everybody laughing at me? Oh gosh, yeah, it was.
What did Sarah think?
Sarah was like, oh, we should have reshot that. But the problem was, at that point, it was too late. We had to get the video in, the bummer was Sarah had not been sick. Then I got sick.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry. Yeah, I was already sick. Then Sarah got sick. So she was just getting into it. I was kind of coming out of it. It was, oh gosh, it was bad, man. But yeah, thank you for, I literally, and that was, you don't have to be sorry. It was funny.
It's like 3 days ago.
Yeah, pretty much that was it. But it was really funny. But seriously, I completely forgot that happened. So thank you for bringing it back.
You're welcome.
No, that's good. You said you had another story.
Oh yeah. So
okay.
I think I told you guys that I got roped into this musical.
You keep using this. I don't know if you're intentionally using the pun "roped in."
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
But maybe it's
you
just
literally got roped into,
ingrained into my brain here.
Yes.
So they had the parent meeting. Okay. I think I told the story before.
Yeah.
And Laura went to the parent meeting, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? We need flying parents. We need parents that can."
Could you please explain this?
Flying parents, yes.
Okay, Zachy. You give a lot of backstory.
Yeah.
But you missed out on a flying parent.
I was about to give the backstory.
Okay,
Sometimes I lead into it.
Okay.
I'm known for over-explaining things.
Well, you're a writer. So
yes.
What do writers have to do?
I have to set the scene.
They have to set the scene. That's right. So
that's what
I'm
I do.
sorry. I should just trust that you know what you're doing more so than I do.
I'm going to set the scene here, Stephen.
Paint the picture, buddy.
So Laura goes to this thing, and they say, "Hey, we need flying parents." What is a flying parent? So they go, "Well, we're bringing in this company that uses ropes, pulleys, so to take the students and fly them across the stage."
Yes.
Right? This is The Little Mermaid. We talked about this before.
Yes.
Why in the world would you need to fly in Little Mermaid? Well, they're swimming.
They're swimming.
And there's also birds that fly. So sometimes the scene is the sky. Sometimes the scene is the ocean.
And Zach is playing Scuttle.
No. And they said we need 2 parents, all right? And 2 others is like the backup.
Yep.
Okay? And so they ended up getting 6. So they said we can, you need 2 and then 2 more, and then then you can rotate out. So let's get 6 so 2 of the parents can then watch the play at some point.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I don't know what this is. I'm a flying parent. My wife doesn't know what it is, but I got signed up for it because I did not go to the meeting, and they needed.
That's what
happen. Happens.
That's when bad things happen.
So the way this works is the flying company is coming in for 3 days and training people on how to use the equipment, and then they're leaving, and then they're coming back the week of the play to finish training. So all I've got to do is go 3 nights this week, learn how to do it. It's 3 hours each, right?
Okay.
Learn.
Wow, 3 hours?
Yeah. So I was there from 5 to 8 last night, and I got to go 5 to 8 tonight and 9 to 12 tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
So they're going to teach us how to use the equipment, and I thought, okay, it's a commitment, but not a huge commitment.
Sure.
I want to get more involved in the kids' school and stuff in the community. Okay, let's do it. I'm on board. Get there last night. Okay. It's a guy. He's from Indiana. That's where this company's from. Oh my gosh.
People don't fly in Ohio.
Evidently,
we couldn't get anybody closer. Indiana was the closest fly guy.
State of Indiana, yes. This is so in depth, and I am part of the play. Not just like the dad in the corner that like does stuff. I have to know like choreography.
No, you don't.
I've got to be there.
No, you don't.
like to make them like the scenes. You have to make sure they fly in like this.
Wait, you're on stage?
Yeah.
This is the best news ever.
Like, I'm behind the curtain, but like we're right next to the stage, like doing this.
Yeah.
So say Ariel is so we have to know like
say
everything.
Right.
We're part of the play.
Say Ariel right, man.
Ariel?
Ariel.
What?
Ariel.
So it was our first night last night. But not only are we, because the first thing he said was, I want you to get out of your mind that you're just pulling ropes. You guys are artists.
I would have been like, I'm out.
What am I supposed to say? Like,
I would have been like, you know what? You got the wrong guy.
Like, so the first thing he says was, well, okay. For each person on the stage that's flying, 2 adults have to pull the ropes. There's what they call the traveler. I think that's what he's called.
Okay.
It's the person that makes them go from left to right on the stage.
Okay. So there's X and Y axis.
Yes. And then there's the lift person that makes them go up and down. They're different ropes. Okay, so the one rope makes it's a trolley that they're like connected to. So they've got clips on their hips, and 2 strings go up to the ceiling, right?
Yes.
To this like track.
So it's not 3-dimensional movement. They can only go up, down, and back and forth.
Yes, to the side and then up and down.
Okay.
So the person that has I think it's called the traveler. They travel across the stage. And so he's like, I need someone who is good at music and can keep time. I'm like, that ain't me. I'll be the brute force in the back.
Yeah, Wednesday night was the best because just a little side story talking about Zach's timing. We're practicing. We're practicing for worship.
This is a lie.
This is not a lie.
100% a lie.
We're practicing for worship. Worship band. I'm up on stage and Zach starts clapping. He is off beat.
No, I'm not. I was right on beat.
No, you were on.
This is my problem. I thought I was on beat.
This is your own beat. Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
I go by my own drummer, Stevie.
Yes, you do.
That's what I live my own life.
That's 100% Zach Cyrus right there.
I have the own beat in my head.
That's sincere.
So the guy asks, hey, if you've ever done music or can keep time, you have to be the traveler guy.
Okay.
Because like as the music goes, you have to pull them like in rhythm. Like there's a choreography. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't know I was involved in this. I ain't doing that part. I'll be the brute strength lift guy.
Yep.
Okay. So 2 dads like, oh yeah, we'll do this. So remember I said it was 2 people? Actually, it's 4. So there's not 1 set of flyers at a time. There's 2 sets. So
on two different like one's in front of the other. I'm assuming.
Yes, like the track and the ceiling, they're only like 3 feet apart.
They run parallel.
They run parallel to each other across the stage. So you actually need 4 dads at one time doing this: 2 to travel them left and right across the stage, and 2 to hoist them up and down. And we have to learn how to do it in concert because they have to like go at angles. So you have to pull them and like get them.
So one person's pulling, one person's lifting.
Yes.
So you're etch-a-sketching these kids.
Yes. And not only that there's 2 of them. So we have to do scenes where like one starts on the left side, one starts on the right, and you have to come together and touch and go down and fly off the stage. Like we have to learn the choreography of the whole play. Like we are part of the play. This was not what I signed up for.
No.
Like I
thought you were just going to be a guy off on the side. You're like, pull the rope.
Exactly.
Let go of the rope.
Exactly.
Pull the rope.
No, we have to go and like learn the play. So they have to play the music. We have to know what time to come in and do all this stuff. Not only that, they're like, you better bring gloves, okay?
They didn't give you gloves?
No, we had to bring our own work gloves. They bring work gloves. Good thing I did, okay? They're heavy too. Like my back is killing me trying to hoist these kids up and down. The rope, whenever they're coming down from the ceiling, you have to hold on and kind of like let just a little bit of friction go.
Slip, yeah.
It burnt holes through the gloves. That's how much friction was going on with these ropes. We're like, what's that smell? And we looked, and they had burnt holes through our gloves. So if we had not had gloves on, it would have been
just
like
tore your hands apart.
Burnt our hands. So yeah, that was. I've been there 3 hours now, and we're like, wait a minute. Like, is it like so in the back wall back there at West Middlesex? I'm probably the same at most production areas in high schools. They have all the names of the people in the past that have been part of the plays. We're like, we are writing our names on this wall when we're done with this because we are part of this play. So yeah, we have to like dress in black in the back, so we're offset or whatever. But as we are part of the play. So when they come, pull them off stage, and if we don't do it right, they're gonna look stupid flying like upside down or you don't pull them.
Can they make a full circle motion?
No,
on the thing.
They at least they haven't yet. Maybe that's something we haven't got to yet because we've only done it for 3 hours. But you have to.
Well, I'm assuming that would have to be on them. You can't make them do that. They would have to like flip themselves in the air.
I just go. I'm the up and down guy.
You're the. Come on, man.
So
you're not traveling.
I'm not the traveling guy because I have
did you guys
no rhythm.
Rock, paper, scissors to determine who was going to be the traveler and who was?
It's just 2 of the dads were like, yeah, we'll do this part. Because the traveling is not like you have to go like this really quick with the ropes and make them go, but it's not a lot of weight. It's just kind of you're just moving them across.
Okay.
The lift guys have the full, it's like half the body weight. So if a kid weighs 180 pounds, you're like lifting 90 pounds up and down.
Gotcha.
Which that's above your head.
That's still a significant
and you have to hold it there
weight.
For several minutes while they do this scene. It gets
How is it? And you said it's throughout the entire play.
Yeah, 3 hours.
The entire play is using this pulley system.
Like different parts of each scene, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I was not expecting
Dude, that is that's way more involved
than I thought it would be.
I would assume like this was more of like a stunt kind of thing that they're doing.
No, it's like several. It's like this because we asked them like, okay, how much we do this? Like we have scenes in the whole play. So for 3 hours,
and you guys you only have 6 practices total to get this down.
We have 3 practices, and then the dress rehearsal week.
Okay, so are you still using the pulleys and stuff when the company's not there?
That has not been decided yet. So whenever we signed up, it was 3 nights this week, and then the week of the play, which is in March.
There's no way that you guys could get that choreography down in that short amount of time.
But the first thought was they weren't going to let us keep the equipment that time. They were going to set it up 3 days, then take it back with them, and then bring it back that week. But now they decided, hey, we'll just leave it here.
Oh, they are.
So probably there's going to be more.
So you're going to have to go to more practices, I'm assuming.
Maybe.
Because it'd be really funny to see you like in the back miming the movements. I'd love to see a video of you just back there like moving your hands to the music as if you're pulling the rope.
Oh, I know. So we have to like pretend like they're swimming. So we have to like go up and down, so it looks like they're in the waves. I'm like, I thought I was just like yanking a kid up and down, like one,
like in one scene, maybe 2 scenes. Like you got the birds and stuff. Zach, you like. I hope they.
That's
have,
what I said. Like we are the play. We are pretty much the play.
If you don't get like a special gift for doing this, outside of just being an awesome dad, is your daughter one of the ones?
No, she has a part in the play, but she does like more of the singing. She has a speaking part, but she's not.
She's the one that comes out and says Sebastian, like that one.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, she's the seahorse.
The one that talks like this.
Yes.
Does she do the voice?
I don't know. I've asked her voice, and it seems like a regular voice. She's in 7th grade. I don't know if she's got to that point yet. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for her. But she's the seahorse that announces the king whenever he comes into the room.
Yes.
And if you ever watched Little Mermaid. So that's her part.
He like plays his own mouth like a trumpet.
Yeah.
And then he has everybody come in.
So that's what I'm doing tonight, Stevie.
That's amazing, man. It's really amazing. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry that's what you got roped into.
That's what. Yeah, you said it now too.
Yeah, it's good.
I got roped into
this. So would you do this again? Is the big question.
I don't know. I've only done it one night. It's fun in the fact that it's something new I've never done before, but it's so much more involved than I thought it would be that I don't know yet what I feel about this. So I'll tell you tonight, or I'll tell you. Next podcast, I'll let you know how these next 2 practices go.
When is it's in March, right?
Yeah, first weekend of
March.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, there's nothing else to add to it. I'm really excited about part 2 of the podcast. When we come back, we have our ultra special guest,
our 50th episode extravaganza
celebration. Yeah. We have Grandpa Ken McFarland. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Welcome to part 2. Zach and Steve have a podcast, 50th episode and like special edition. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
And with us today, we have a really special guest. Somebody, I'm going to let Zach introduce him.
Yeah. So I've obviously known this man as long as I've been alive.
If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be alive.
If it wasn't for him, I would not be alive. So my grandfather, Ken McFarland.
Grandpa Ken is here with us today.
Yes. Grandpa, you've been a very big influence on my life. You are a role model that I have, and I talk about you a lot on this podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to it before or not, but you've made a big difference on me. And we just thought we could come in and just shoot the breeze, because I know when I sit down, when we go over and I have conversations with you, I really enjoy the talks that we have, and so
yeah.
We're very excited for Grandpa for you to be here.
We were, I was excited when Zach said that you had agreed to be part of this, and how fast you agreed to be part of this. It wasn't even a question. It wasn't like, what are you guys even doing? It was, what time do I need to be there? So why don't you introduce yourself, Ken?
Well, I sure didn't have any idea what this would be about.
It's probably for the best.
They wanted me to come up and talk. I said, what do you want me to talk about? Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought we'd just hit you with some questions, and you can...
Well, like I said, everything Zach was little. Him and Casey, I used to go over there at their house when they lived over in Shenango Road. And we just done things. His mother worked. My wife, Donna, she took care of him for a year while Kim worked. And it was I just went over there and hung out with these guys all the time.
Yeah. It became a very special bond.
Yeah.
I used to take them back to the house. They lived in a trailer on Shenango Road there. I took them all back in the field back there. And then they'd get back there, and the first thing I knew, Casey would be missing. Never knew where he was at. And then there was a time when he knows this is coming. But I took Zach and Casey. It was on a Sunday. Didn't have much to do. I said, come on, let's go for a ride. So we jumped in my pickup. We took off. Oh, we went out. Slippery Rock Creek.
Okay.
And was out there and was wading and just having a good time. And I can't remember just how old they were. It's probably maybe, 8 or 9?
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe not that old, I don't know. And Zach says to me, Grandpa, do you know where you're at? I says, no, I'm lost. He started to cry.
So Steve, how we always have these conversations about you and where all of your pent up problems come from.
My
issues,
my deep issues.
We're getting to it today here from me.
Oh, your grandpa's the best. So you guys got lost, and what ended up happening?
Well, anyhow, he says, "Oh, I'm lost." Well, he started to ball. Casey stood there and he laughed like an idiot. So it ended up we came home. But there's been some other things I've had with Zach.
Yeah.
I remember back, I don't know, it was probably about 08, 09, something like that.
Okay, it's not too far ago.
Him and I was out playing golf.
Yeah.
Out at Rolling Hills one day. We're playing on the back 9. So we come on to number 8, and it was a ditch out, maybe 150, 200 yards. Well, he was a long hitter. He went over the ditch. So I hit, and mine bounced into the ditch. So we go down, and he was on over and crossed over the walkway on the other side of the run, over there in the fairway. So I go down, there's my ball. I look down, there it is, it's in the run. Mm-hmm. So I come over and I lean down to pick it up. Now, the water wasn't deep, but there was a lot of stones in there and stuff like that. Well, the bank on his side was a little bit higher than on my side.
So you're 85 years old at the time, right?
Yeah.
84.
Somewhere like that.
We didn't start off at the beginning, but Grandpa Ken is 96 years young.
I got over by the run, and I reached down to pick up the ball. As I reached down, I just kept right on going, and I tumbled into the run. Now, there I'm laying down there. The water ain't deep, but there's stones in there, and there's moss on them and everything.
Yeah.
And I can't get up because my hands keep sliding off of these stones.
Yeah.
And I'm holding to Zach. Hey, Zach. Where you at, Grandpa?
I love the voice. That's spot on.
Yeah.
That's spot on, Zach.
So he come over and he said, what are you doing down there? Well, I said, I ain't fishing.
This is fantastic.
He helped me get up out of the run, and I was soaking wet.
Oh.
Yeah, you thought you'd go for a swim instead of golf.
Goodness gracious. That is fantastic.
So you taught me how to golf.
They what?
You taught me how to golf. I love to golf. I don't, with the kids nowadays, I don't have enough time to go as much as I'd like, but.
Well, I tell you what, he's pretty good, and my son was really good. Mm. The only thing was, they just didn't, they didn't practice, they didn't do this, didn't do that, and I still think either one of them, if they had a practice, they could have gone somewhere.
That's the one thing about Zach is, and we've talked about this a million times, is Zach is naturally gifted athletically. He doesn't have to put in much work at all to be good. or above average at something, and if he puts his mind to it, he excels at it.
In sports, sure.
Well, he was a great basketball player.
Yeah. And baseball.
Oh, in practice, he could stand over the side there, and he could just shoot, fall, put him in a game, and you might have left him on the bench.
That's not true.
No, he was.
This is the best ever.
He was good. No, he was a good player.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But,
Zach, what's one of your favorite memories of doing something with your grandfather?
Favorite memories with Grandpa? Oh, there's all kinds of memories. So, I loved going to your house, and you always had a place for everything. I would love going into your garage and just how organized and how neat it was. And you took care of everything. And so you had that old that wheel horse tractor, that red one.
Yeah.
What was it? And you had that thing for how long?
16, 18 years.
That's a good long run.
It was a riding mower, and it was like
it was a good one.
It looked brand new.
16.
And I knew that thing was 20 years old.
It was 16 horse. It was a good one.
But I'd go over there, and I was just, we would love to go to your house. I mean, you had the refrigerators; they were stocked with pop because we didn't really have that much at home. And we go out to the freezer out in the garage, and what'd you have in there? Hot Pockets and
everything.
For you guys?
Frozen pizzas. Sure, they just kept it there for the grand.
Yeah,
it was for us.
Your grandpa or for you?
No, it was for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. So
my grandpa was known for only buying food from the flea market.
Oh.
So it was usually a little bit past its due date. I would eat it anyway.
Yeah.
But what other? Did you have something like a specific story, Zach, that you wanted to share?
Let's see, a story. Well, one thing I remember about you, Grandpa, is you always had your camcorder. So you would come to the baseball events and
Christmas
stuff.
time, picnics, everything. I took pictures of everything.
Yeah. And so we would see you, and half the time you'd have that camcorder up on your shoulder. It was one of those big ones. But I'm trying to think of like a story. I mean, there's all kinds of stories.
Well, I took pictures of most everything.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And we lived on Sheridan Avenue there right after I retired.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always a great decorator at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I used to decorate that house on Sheridan. Home Alone.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, they still talk about it, but
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
did you help with the decorations?
No, I wasn't allowed to help with the decorations.
Oh, really?
No, it was his job.
Yeah, okay. That was one of the jobs I always had as a kid, was helping my grandparents with their decorations. But
So, Grandpa, tell us a little bit about growing up, what it was like growing up.
yeah.
When going to school, when I go over to your house, you always tell me stories about your grade school and growing
the
up.
thing was, my father left when I was about 7 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
And it was just everything, shift for yourself, We done a lot of moving. My mother kept us together. There was 5 of us. She kept us all together. Well, then, it was when I was in high school. I was taking what they would call a mechanical engineering course in high school. And I quit school, 10th grade.
Okay.
And what happened, I didn't quit on my accord. One week we went to shop up at Ben Franklin. I was learning to be a machinist. The other week, I went to high school. Well, I had a teacher. His name was Thomas, Gig Thomas. And he was the draftsman teacher. And this particular day, I think it was in probably towards the end of April. Nice day. Well, I went when I went to school, I went in the afternoon from 1 to 5 up at Newcastle there. So anyhow, we go in there, it's a real nice day, and things is going great. We sit down, and the first thing you know, Thomas looked over and he says, "McFarland, are you chewing gum?" Yeah. I forgot all about that. I had it in the well, that was my last day at school. He said to me, "Pick your stuff up, get out of here, don't come back."
Wow.
Well, that was the end of my schooling.
What grade were you in?
That was 10th.
So about what year would that have been?
1942.
Wow. Okay.
So 1942, I was out of school. About 3 days later, I was down on Grove Street, or Newcastle, the warehouse by Robbins Furniture. So I went in, I said, "Hey, do you need any help?" Yeah, so they hired me. Mm-hmm. And I was just 15. And about 3 months after that, I turned 16. All right, then I got my driver's license. And I worked there for a year. Well, then I left there, 1943, February 1943. I went over to Keystone Lawrence Transfer and Storage. It was a trucking company. And I walked in there and said, "Do you need any helpers on a truck or anything?" Mm-hmm. He said, "Do you have a driver's license?" "Yes, sir." "Okay, you're hired." So I worked as a helper on a truck for a while. I learned to drive truck and everything. I worked there about a year and a half, and then I left there and went to across the street to Norwalk Truck Line and got a job over there because the guy at Keystone Lawrence, he started getting pretty antsy and everything, and he got on me one day, and I said, "I'm out of here." He said, "Well, I'll throw your A in the Army." I said, "No, you won't." So anyhow, he said, "Get out of here before I throw you out." I said, "You ain't big enough to throw me out." And I picked up a piece of pipe about 2 foot long. I said, "Okay." So he said, "Get out of here." And I went to work for Norwalk Truck Line.
Yeah.
I'd worked over there for 2 years. But then, like I said, I drove truck for about, between 9-10 years.
So after the podcast, we kept talking with Grandpa Ken about his trucking experience. And one of the things that was really interesting was that he got to drive tank turrets. And so he went back and added the story into the other stories that he was telling about his trucking experience. That's why there's a little bit of a jump. But just so you have context, that's what's going on here.
He says, "I'm telling you, get your truck, go up there, load them, take them through Norwalk, Ohio." That was the main terminal.
Mm-hmm. So what were these again? They were tank turrets?
The big turrets with the big gun on.
Yeah.
There I am, 19 years old, never drove one.
Never drove a double trailer.
And I see these guys from Detroit, older guys, hauling steel with them. Mm-hmm. I said, "Joe, you don't want me to do." "I'm telling you." I said, "Okay." So I go up and I load both of them, and I go through. At that time, there's no turnpike, there's no 4-lane highways. It's all 2. Some places might be 3. But anyhow, I went to Norwalk, Ohio. Mm-hmm. From here up there at that time was about a 5-hour trip.
Yeah.
I pulled into the main terminal at Norwalk. As I pulled in, there's other drivers standing around other trucks. Well, they looked at that, Me, I said, "Well, up you." So anyhow, over on the dock where they back the trailers into and load and unload them, there's an elderly gentleman up there with bibby overalls on, and he's just potting around, and he's looking and watching. He'd come over and he walked around it, never said a word. About half hour later, over the loudspeaker says, "McFarland, come to the office." I went to the office. dispatch office, and he said, "You're going back home." He said, "We'll give you another outfit. Have to leave your tractor and everything here." And he said, "You go back home. What's going on? You'll find out when you get back to Newcastle." That's when they told me. That old gentleman was John Ernstausen. He owned Norwalk Truck Line. He was the owner.
Okay.
And he says they had done some checking up. Not old enough to be on the road.
How old were you?
19. Pulling doubles.
Wait, how old do you have to be to pull a double trailer?
Huh?
How old do you have to be to pull a double trailer?
Well, now you can be any age. Well, I mean, as long as you're over 21.
Oh, okay.
Over 21.
So you had to be
okay.
21.
And here's another thing. You have to be 21 to haul interstate merchandise. That's interstate, from state to state. You have to be 21. You have to be 18 to haul what they call intrastate. That's just driving interstate. Well, I was 19. I was able to do that. But boy, when they took me off the road.
So did you get in trouble? Did they yell at you?
Huh?
Did they yell at you?
No.
Better not. That wasn't his fault.
Wasn't my fault. But I worked probably another 6 months. And then I went to work for another company hauling milk with a tanker trailers like that right down here. Cheese factory. Boy, that was a nice job.
What made that nice?
Huh?
What made that nice?
Don't do nothing. You ain't allowed to touch nothing. You go to the creamery, they put the milk in. You go to the dairy, they pump it off.
Yeah.
You don't do nothing.
What did you have to do with the
Nice
other
and
stuff?
easy.
What made the other stuff difficult?
Oh, you see these trucks delivering all this stuff to these different stores and everything, all that stuff.
So you had to take that off.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize the truckers had to do that.
When you haul steel, you have to have your load. You have to put your blocking down. You have to put the steel on. You got to chain it down, fasten it down. You got to cover it up. Oh, yes. I was driving truck when I met Donna. And then when we got married in 1950, I went to work for Penn Power.
Okay.
Jerry, as Donna's older brother, he knew somebody at the power company and put a word in for me, and they hired me, and I went to work for Penn Power.
Yep.
I put in 37 years with Penn Power, moved up into management, and I had more people working for me underneath me with college degrees, and I only had 10th grade. And I had them. They were school teachers, but they made more money working at the plant than they did teaching school.
Yeah.
But anyhow, between driving truck and Penn Power, I worked 2 jobs most of the time.
Wow.
All the time I worked for Penn Power, I was always driving truck on my days off. And the kiddos, they start coming along.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
3 daughters, right?
No,
Or
two daughters and a son. Yeah.
We had a really nice family, and they all turned out very good. My son, he retired 3 years ago in
2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was about that time.
Yeah.
And his job he turned out, when he finished up, he was a national sales manager for some big electrical component company. I don't know who it was. And he was in the air most of the time. He was flying. He was coast to coast all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he retired well off. But after he graduated from West Virginia, 1956. No. Yes, it was. Then he graduated from there. He worked 1 year in Newcastle. Then he got a job in Michigan, and he went up there in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been there ever since.
All right. Oh, he lives. What part of Michigan?
Yeah, out by Lansing, right? Somewhere around there.
Oh, okay.
He lived in Lansing, and about, 8 or 9 years ago, he moved to Brighton, Michigan. He had marital problems, and then he remarried, and that's when he moved to Brighton, Michigan.
Okay.
But other than that, there ain't too much going on.
Yeah, that's a lot of good stuff, though.
It seemed everything that I was able to do, I was able to do it well.
Mm-hmm.
I was an avid hunter. I was an avid bowler, golfer.
I know the golf stories. I mean, you just stopped golfing a couple years ago, right? Or do you still go?
No, I quit. I'm 96. Well, just 2 months short of 97, but
I knew that was coming up.
Yeah.
The golf course closed up 3 years ago, and when it closed up, then that's when I quit.
You're done. You outlasted the golf course. That's great.
Yeah, I could beat you when you got older, but I couldn't beat you early on.
That's fantastic, because you guys had a special thing that you did every year. I remember, because there's always a Sunday that Zach would tell me, I'm not going to be there. My grandpa and I have our the golf outing.
Outing, yeah.
Was it a scramble? Or?
Yeah, we would do scrambles, and he'd carry us. Well, when you got a little bit older, you did more of the putting and chipping.
Yeah.
But not early on. You could hit the ball a long ways.
There's not a whole lot of guys that are still out there in their 80s or even early 90s that are still golfing at any.
No, I know.
At one time, when I still worked for Penn Power, I was in the golf league there, but we always had our annual field day at the end of the season up at Tam O'Shanter.
Yep. Yeah, I golfed there a lot.
And the long drive, well, it didn't make too much difference which was. I always got the long drive.
Okay.
And I know I had a buddy of mine that I golfed with all the time, Denny Murphy. He said, man, I crunched one. And he says, I got to watch my language. what he had to say about McFarland. He said, well, he sure as H ain't going to match that one. And he said, what happened? We go down there, and there I am. I get my ball, and there's a flag 10 yards up there. I get it. Might know McFarland.
I love Tam O'Shanter. That was Good Friday was the day I would go up there. I'd usually play with my dad.
Okay.
Up on I was terrible. Terrible. Yeah. I hit the top of somebody's golf cart one time.
Oh.
They were not happy. So Ken, tell us a little bit about your life as a believer. The one thing Zach speaks so highly, about is that you were so much a spiritual leader in his life. So tell us about you coming to know Jesus in your life as your Savior.
Say what?
So, becoming a believer. When did you become a believer?
Yeah. Well, I can remember when I first started the church, I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And I lived down Newport, PA. That's just down a mile from Wampum.
Okay.
And it was a Pentecostal church. Reverend Alfred Bunny.
Okay.
He was the minister. Well, then there was a young lad there who had just got his driver's license. His name was Steve Palagallo. There's more to that later on.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, he just got his driver's license at 16. And his dad allowed him to drive the car to go pick up kids to bring them to church. And that was the first that I had anything dealings in church, was going to the Pentecostal church there in Wampum.
Okay.
Well, then Donna and I met her in 1949, Christmas of 1949. And at that time, I was not affiliated with a church anywhere. She was with the 3rd UP, and I started to go to church with her. Met her at Christmas time, and then we was married 6 months later. Yeah.
Wow.
She belonged to Third Church for over 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And I joined it when I met her, and I was there for over 50. We were both there until they closed up here.
Where's that at?
Up on
Newcastle? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
East Washington Street up there.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yep.
That big church on the corner of Adams Street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we got married. And from there, we had 3 children. And everything comes up pretty much to the present.
Yeah.
Well, what I remember, Grandpa, is every Sunday, you'd be in church. You had your pew you sat in. You always were dressed really nice. And it always seemed like you were the boss.
Well, I was on the board there.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
I was an elder for, I think, about 6 years. Then I had the ushers. I was the head of the ushers for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Until, like I said, they closed up, and then that's when I started up the New Life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in limbo.
I know you watch on, because I hear that you
watch online.
Yeah, you see us on YouTube.
Oh, I watch a lot online. I watch Jeremiah, and I love Stanley, Dr. Charles Stanley.
Charles Stanley.
His dad and the son.
Andy, yep.
I watched them. I think the other night, I think it was Thursday night, I watched Stanley's. The son was on first for a half hour, and then another one, and his dad come on then the second half.
Okay.
I watched it. But I watched them a lot.
Oh, they're both great.
I tune in on New Life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I used to watch Billy Graham a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, but I remember just before every meal, you would say the prayer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, we would always say, God is great, God is good, anything for food. But Grandpa wouldn't say that. He would pray for specific things. Yeah. And so as a kid, all I knew of, we came to church with you guys, but we weren't a very religious family. And so to hear you pray, it was like it brought the reality to faith, more than just a bunch of words you say or have to be here, that you made it real. And maybe you didn't realize that, us kids were picking up on that, the grandkids, but you set an example for what it was to lead your family and put God first. And just doing that, praying before bed at night and praying at the meals and making sure we got to church on time, it allowed us to be, involved in it and allowed God to work on our hearts. And
well, that's the way it is yet today. I talk to God when I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
the last thing. First thing in the morning, I talk to God when I wake up. Mm-hmm. Say the blessing no matter where I'm at.
Yep.
I go to breakfast every Saturday morning with a group of guys. None of them sit, but I say my blessing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look at me, sometimes they just forget about it.
Sure.
I don't care.
Well, that's right. That's living out our faith.
No, like I said a while ago, I worked for Penn Power for 37 years. 10th grade education. Moved up through the line from plant helper clear up to shift supervisor.
That's fantastic.
Well, that was in 1951 when I went there. Well, 1974 then, they transferred me down to the big Mansfield plant down by Shippingport. Mm-hmm. I went down there as a foreman supervisor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was clearing my throat. I apologize.
I had a chance before I left there. I was a shift supervisor, and they wanted me to take over operations supervisor. No. Mm-hmm. Why? I said, because here's the thing. Your operations supervisor right now is on call 24/7. No raise, no extra plus. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's not for me. Plus, in time, I want to go back to Newcastle. And I come back to Newcastle and worked 8 more years. And then I retired in 1988. Was a good company to work for.
Mm-hmm. So you've been retired longer than most people that we know or have been alive.
Yeah. You retired the year my little brother was born. So.
Yeah. And how old's your little brother?
He's 35.
35 years I've been retired.
Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. But I think about it this way. The life you've been able to live, the example that you'd be able to set in that retirement. I mean, I remember how special it was when my grandfather retired and the amount of time I got to spend with him after that, and that meant the world to me. And I mean, and Zach has said the exact same thing about you. 35 years, Zach's been able to just enjoy time with his grandpa, and that's a gift.
Yeah,
that truly is a gift.
So, yeah.
So, is there anything else you wanted to add to it, Zach?
No.
All right. So, Grandpa Ken, would you mind giving us a sign off to Zachy and Stevie, just so people can hear you say it? Because we call each other Zachy and Stevie.
Yeah.
Because you call us Zachy and Stevie. Could you say for Zachy and Stevie, we'll see you next time?
Okay, Zachy and Stevie. I'll see you next time.
All right. That was awesome.
For Zach and Steve have a podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Steve.
We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Hey, so Grandpa Ken, we usually play a game on the podcast too. So we usually have some sort of game where Zach and I will go head to head. But I thought it'd be fun if you guys went head to head, and I'll moderate a game. How does that sound?
Want to play a game, Grandpa?
I don't play games.